Hi, this is Travis Van Vleck, and this is my case study on internet use violation threats over the World Wide Web. Problem identification and analysis. What we know from this case study. Roosevelt High School it's in a wealthy neighborhood. Students have access to the newest technology. Dr. Stephen Forbes has been the principal there for 9 years. Was principal of the year 2 years ago. He's well respected by the parents. He has a reputation of being the principal of the best school in the state. Miss Walker was hired 1 year ago to teach science courses. Roosevelt High School is her first teaching job. She is considered highly qualified and Mrs. Walker's courses are what you would call very demanding. Continuing on what we know from the case study, she's very serious and many students feel stressed in her classes. Dr. Forbes, the principal, has had complaints with Miss Walker's classes, saying that they were too demanding. He discussed techniques with her that will reduce student stress and increase positive interactions. Basically, having lots of parent complaints about how hard her classes are. There's a lot of students who are competing to be valedictorian, and these classes are possibly causing them not to be able to win that award. Ms. Walker has failed to implement any of the suggestions given by Dr. Forbes. Ms. Walker got an anonymous email with a link to a website, and on that website there were bad comments about her, vulgar words that were used, and the last comment, which was the most important one that was on there, who wants Miss Walker to disappear, implying she felt that it implied that someone was going to kill her. So she contacted Dr. Forbes, worried she may be in danger. Dr. Forbes looked at the website and he understood her concern. He thought it was probably a prank and asked who may have done this. Miss Walker thought about it for a while and said there's a student named Randy Franks. She's never been able to prove that he's been the disruption in class, but that's where she thinks it is him, and she knows that he is computer savvy. Dr. Forbes will talk with Randy and his friends on Monday morning to see who's behind this, and he'll have the district technologist look at who may have sent her the email. Miss Walker was still concerned for her safety, so she went to her parents' house on Sunday night. And that's what we know from the case study. Things that we really need to know. We need to know who sent the email to Miss Walker. That would be a key piece of evidence that might help us figure out who's behind this website. Who created the website, the web page against Miss Walker. Can we identify anyone who may have commented on that web page? This may include parents, so we need to know who has put comments on there. Is there evidence that there is a real threat against Miss Walker? Does the district have a policy on how to handle this type of situation? So these are the things that we really need to know. I think the most important that we need to know is there real evidence to show that Miss Walker may be in danger, and if so, we may need to contact authorities immediately. Judging from what little information we have, it doesn't seem that it is a real threat at this time, but we will not handle it like that. We will handle it as it is a real threat. Identifying the problem. There's a possible threat against Miss Walker, and we do not know who is behind it. Miss Walker's classroom techniques will be discussed with her again. It has been done before, but for this case study, I don't believe that's the problem. I'm concerned about a parent or student threatening a staff member. That's the key issue here, not Miss Walker's classroom techniques, strategies that are used. It has been an issue in the past. It's continued to be an issue, but for this particular case study, that's not the problem. Is the way how she conducts class. The problem is someone is threatening a staff member, and that's completely unacceptable. So our plan of action that we need to put into place. First thing we need to do is notify the superintendent of schools and check the district policy. I want my superintendent to be informed immediately on this, so I can confer with him or her to see if this type of thing has happened in the past, how to handle the situation, and make sure that we're following district policy. I don't want to leave my superintendent in the dark on a serious matter like this. Investigate the website again for clues that may help with the investigation. Just really look it over to see if there's something in there that I may have missed. Contact the technologist for the district to start a formal investigation immediately. There's a reason we have these technologists, these people who are so savvy with technology. Let's put them to work. Let's see what they can figure out. Perhaps he can find out where that email was sent from. So we need to get that technologist on it. I would meet with Randy Franks and a few of his friends about the website individually. I want to make sure that I don't accuse Randy or any of these other students of this website. It's more of a informational gathering. We don't know who did this, and until we do, we want to make sure that we don't accuse anybody. For all we know, this very well could have been a parent that was involved with this. It seems petty. That's something that a parent probably wouldn't do, but it very well could happen, especially with a parent who feels like their student should be valedictorian, so they're going to try slander and so they can get rid of the teacher. I'm going to follow up with Miss Walker with all this new information and assure her we're doing all that we can to address the situation. And then I'm going to ask Miss Walker some questions about the website to see if there might be something in there that kind of tipped her off about who else might be behind this. Does she still believe that it's Randy and some of his friends, or is there something else that has popped out that's made her believe that it could be someone else? Another thing that I would do is check social media to see if parents or students are talking about the website. That might offer some clues of who's behind it. Social media, most people don't have things blocked on there. You can look at anything and everything they talk about, and they very well could find some information there that could be very useful. Speak with students who might give information that would be helpful. I've worked in the school district now for 7 years. We all know that we have certain students who take pride in their school, and they don't like these types of situations that come up, and they're more than happy to give up some information on who might be involved. We know who those students are, and I will utilize them if they can give me some good information. Keep all stakeholders informed. I'm going to keep the superintendent informed, Ms. Walker informed about what's going on. If we figure out who was involved, we need to hand out punishments to the students in accordance to the district's building policies. So if we're able to figure that out, we'll need to we will have to put in some sort of punishment, and we will use the district policy. If a class on proper internet use is not in place, I will collaborate with staff on what is the best way to start one and what should be included in it. It may be a freshman course, it might be just within a lesson or a couple of lessons in one of our classes, but we need to have some proper internet use. Not just internet necessarily, but email etiquette and different things like that. Fact finding, how to cite sources on the internet, what's a good source on the internet, lots of different things with the internet. But particularly for this situation, proper use and what is acceptable and what is not. So resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. What is best for the students? Well, to have a staff that feels accepted and is working to get the most out of their students. That's what's best for students. We need the staff to be able to feel safe and do their job. Ms. Walker, although may have not been doing as good a job as we may have wanted her to, for her to be able to get to that point, we got to make sure that she feels safe. Changes for Miss Walker can be made, but she has to feel safe first. So that's what's going to be best for the students. Structure is best for students. Threats against unpopular staff will not be tolerated. I don't care if they don't like Miss Walker or not. In terms, I do care that they like her, but that's not the point. We can't have, just because you don't like someone, start to make threatening comments. We're just going to run off any teacher that they don't like just because they're hard or whatever the case may be. Technology will be a part of students' lives forever, So a class on proper internet use will help them the rest of their lives. It's not just a class that's done just solely for this. This is something that should already have been in place, if not in place. And if one's in place, we may need to look at what we need to do differently to make sure these situations don't come up again. My plan will resolve the issue at hand. The school can get back to a normal routine. That's what's best for students. The plan of action will take steps to prevent a situation like this in the future with the class or the lessons being offered. I will go by the district policy when handling the situation and monitor and evaluate the management of the school. So for the school to run properly, we need to have everything get back to normal. We need to have students who are respectful, and we need to have all of our staff feel safe. As I went through this, what was I thinking, valuing, and feeling? I was thinking I need to fix Miss Walker's classroom problems, but kept forcing myself to focus on the current problem at hand. It was really easy to think that if she would change some of these things, this would not have happened. But at this time, that's what we're worried about. We need to worry about this problem, and then we can worry about some of Mrs. Walker's classroom problems. Was this really done by a student? There are so many upset parents. In my school, this would not surprise me at all if a parent did something like this. I get at times emails that are just completely out there. I would say that 99% of the parents that I have are very supportive, but you still have a few out there that might do something extreme like this, and I think that's probably at any school. What will we do if we never figure out who's behind the website? There's not a whole lot we can do. If we never figure it out, we don't figure it out, but that's something I was thinking about. What are we going to do? Well, we can still do the class. I value having great technologists that can help solve a lot of these problems. Technologists are awesome people. Technology is something that I work with every day, that I got to get better with, but having those people is pretty special. I also valued from the case that the principal was accessible at home, and what could be a very serious situation. His staff felt comfortable enough to call him. Lastly, I valued my own building principal for how he dealt with a situation similar to this in the case study. He does a really nice job, and I value him and his leadership in my building. I was feeling that the teacher is making more out of the situation than it really was. I kept feeling that if the teacher would have taken the principal's suggestions, this would have been avoided. And one last feeling I kept having was the teacher is a constant headache. It's time to move on. Obviously, we can't just move on when we have a problem, but I can't deny my feelings. Issues that are unresolved. Who was behind the website? Was it a parent or student? Was this a real threat, or was this a prank? Is there a proper internet use class? If not, how does the staff want to implement one? And after the main problem is resolved, Ms. Walker will need to meet with the principal once again to discuss classroom teaching strategies. How did I demonstrate a sense of integrity and ethical behavior? Was honest with Ms. Walker and the investigation. Diligently worked to resolve the issues that could result in legal consequences. Did not accuse any student or parent. I questioned, not accused. Morally, the right thing to do was to take this situation serious and not to brush it off as a child's prank. I had a moral obligation to my staff to provide a workplace where they feel it's safe to work. Treat people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect. Ms. Walker had trouble in the classroom but still responded to the situation like I would for any teacher. It's a serious situation. I've never brought up Ms. Walker's past issues while trying to resolve this issue. This is another issue for another day. And I respect all staff, and that's why I wanted to collaborate with them on the proper internet use class. Demonstrate professional code of ethics. Showed Ms. Walker I am concerned and will work to resolve the problem. Not going to brush it underneath the rug. It is ethical to treat every staff member with the same amount of respect I did for Ms. Walker, what I would do for any teacher, and collaboratively worked with the staff, and that's the right thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do in a situation like this. I'm sorry I had to kind of rush through those last ones. I'm running out of time, but for the most part, hopefully a situation like this can be resolved and get things back to normal, and then help Ms. Walker with some of the classroom problems that she was having. Thank you.